Hello. Welcome to the skating lesson. If you are new here, please subscribe below, because this is The Genius Figure Skating Girl and Her Tiger Mother by Wu Fenfeng in Esquire Magazine. For more than 20 years, China, as a major sports country, has had the number of medals in women's singles: 0. For more than 20 years, the sports world and ice fans have longed for someone to break this embarrassing figure. In 2019, a 12-year-old girl was born and won the National Figure Skating Adult Championship in one fell swoop. Since then, this girl, named An Xiangyi, has become the hope of the whole village. Does An Xiangyi have the best training conditions? The answer is no. Does she have the best team? Hard to say. The only thing people can be sure of now is that she has a crazy mother, Zhang Aijun, who doesn't intend to retreat at all. Well, that is the introduction verbatim, written by Wu Fenfeng. The editor was Du Xiang, and there's photography throughout the article. Give credit where credit is due, but I wanted to be sensitive in these times, as everyone is trying to do better in terms of cultural sensitivity and acceptance. This is the article as it is written in Chinese. So, that is that. I didn't want anyone to think we are, expanding upon it here. But I did want to discuss this article because there is so much, and I have been messaged about this a few hundred times. So last night I took the deep dive. I did what so many have suggested to do. I did Google Translate. I sent it to Mandarin speaking friends, and I really have enjoyed this article about 53-year-old Zhang Aijun watching her daughter Nini in the ice rink. Nini is the nickname for An Xiangyi, and given that I am not a native Mandarin speaker, I'm going to go with Nini. Frankly, it's easier. Okay. The girl skates across the ice. Nini flew like a bird. She was supposed to finish falling in the air after falling, but she fell. Her thin back bowed to her knees, and her fists thumped anxiously towards the ice. Zhang Aijun looked serious and silent. A moment later, when the daughter slipped on the ice in front of her, she shouted with a tense face, "Hook hands are not enough!" And the inside point falls. You can't prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. A sharp voice echoed over the ice rink. What she said was proof that Nini asked herself to meet the Olympic standards. She wanted to model her daughter as the world's top figure skater. Other people on the ice rink, coaches with sticks in hand, slack expressions, children learning to skate with great interest, and the uncle who drove the Zamboni occasionally, have been surprised at the extreme training of this mother and daughter. But those familiar with ice sports know that Zhang Aijun's ideas are no easy task. There's a saying in the figure skating world: the most difficult to train in the world is the pilot, followed by figure skating athletes. Not to mention, the goal is the world's top. By the way, I've never heard this saying ever. I just wanted to put an editor's note in there. However, for Zhang Aijun, the difficulty of being a skater is kind of an argument. She agrees, but she is not convinced that she must go through the things that she has determined. Therefore, when mothers all over the world wished to give the baby the most peaceful embrace, in 2007, Zhang Aijun followed a set of American infant physical training courses, holding her 2-month Nini to practice in a circle, upside down, first 10 times clockwise, and then 10 times counterclockwise. As for the effect of this training, Zhang Aijun said that in the future, she will not be dizzy after sitting 10 times on the ice or the coaster. Now, I just wanted to put a little note in here. This is for some sort of, to make her not dizzy. When you do any sort of spin in skating and learn one, you will become dizzy until your brain adjusts. And if you take any time off, you even like 2 weeks, you will become dizzy. in the beginning. So I thought that this was just quite interesting and amusing. It also echoes of Dimitri Tata Moceanu and how he would put Dominique on the clothesline. And I enjoyed that. Okay, I thought this is a mother who has her priorities in order, and she is going to raise the star figure skater. Now, throughout her infancy, Nini received different training from Zhang Aijun every day, including crawling on the ground and turning upside down. After growing up a little bit more, Zhang Aijun let Nini stand in a Beijing winter to withstand a 7-letter wind. Passerbys are curious. Why are there 2 children standing outside and not going home on this windy day? One of them is our Nini, and the other is a child of a migrant worker who is frozen. With a hearty laugh, Zhang Aijun said, "This is the first step to push her daughter to the top of the world." In Zhang Aijun's view, the daughter will enter the international arena in the future and face off with the Russians and the Japanese. Therefore, she must have a strong body. We do the same thing as fighting wars. The effectiveness of physical training satisfied Zhang Aijun. Under the conditions of continuous acceleration, Nini, at the age of 7, can run 4,000 meters. This scene once stunned the people around the track and field. Whenever a person is so determined, she will not be let down. By 2019, when Nini was 12 years old, she participated in the national championship senior category and became the youngest champion in the history of the event. Now, they do talk about the medal shortage that China has endured. For more than 20 years, they have not had a medal in ladies singles, and the best result is Li Jijun's 7th place finish at the 2013 World Figure Skating Championships. Not only China, in fact, women's figure skaters all over the world live under the shadow of the Russian iron-faced queen, Eteri Tutberidze. So much so that people that are divided into 2 teams in women's singles. First, there are the Eteri Tutberidze skaters, and there are everyone else. And I have to say, this mother may indeed be correct. This mother actually idolizes Eteri and has tried to get Nini in to train with Eteri. And after a junior Grand Prix last year, Nini was supposed to train with Eteri. It isn't discussed in this article. She actually wound up not going, and another skater went in her stead. There are all sorts of rumors that perhaps Eteri thought the mother was too intense. And it's just, well, maybe. This is already what Zhang Aijun will face. She's actually too young to be in the Olympics in 2022. And they talk about how Eteri skaters were so successful that the ISU has debated changing the age rule in figure skating. They say those who care about her can't help but ask, does Nini have the best training conditions? The answer is no. Does she have the best team? Hard to say. The only thing that people can be sure of now is that she has a crazy mother, Zhang Aijun, who does not intend to retreat at all. That was the pull quote at the beginning of the article. For Zhang Aijun, letting her daughter learn to figure skate is a matter of course, not only because her husband was a figure skater, but because he was already a senior level figure skater and a fan when the daughter was born. So they say that all the technique is understood, Zhang Aijun said leisurely, her face full of confidence, because Zhang Aijun married a former figure skater. And when she did this, she actually had first went to work in a foreign company, but she didn't feel like she was becoming the leader she was meant to be. She felt like just a screw, and I believe that means like she felt like a cog in the wheel. And every day it was nothing more than pouring coffee and walk around on the carpet, staring at the weather forecast. And that, she saw layoffs and things of that nature take place all around her. And it does seem like layoffs perhaps are different throughout the world. So it made her want to come back to China and raise a champion figure skater. Now, the mother was an adult skater. Now, as a fellow adult skater, I can say I'm skating in my 30s. I skated in my 20s. It takes a certain level of intensity to learn figure skating in your 30s. It is not a usual activity. It is not even the same as CrossFit. It is the time, the expense, the amount of keen concentration and discernment among technique and coaches to learn really how to get better in figure skating. It is not for everyone. And it is not a surprise that such a spectacular Tiger Mother learned how to do all 5 singles herself without the axle. She learned figure skating and would spend all day at the rink. They say she would arrive at the rink every morning at 8 a.m. and return home at 10 p.m. Now, this is interesting to me because my legs could never withstand. And you would think that most people perhaps breaks, Zamboni breaks, you have lunch. I don't know that I believe that this mother took breaks. She seems special. And they said that she even had, the translation is unclear it is unclear if she induced a miscarriage or had an abortion so that she could keep skating. But the important thing to note is that she valued skating above having a child at first. And as someone who participates in the adult figure skating world, I could see someone making that trade-off. That would potentially happen. So especially with Zhang Aijun. But I do believe at some point she has an abortion because they say that after she had an abortion, she put on high heels and she walked out of the clinic by herself, solo, to show how strong she is. But unfortunately, her career as an adult skater was not to be. She did not get to go to the event in Oberstdorf with Midori Ito because she wound up falling on the ice and injuring her face so badly that she couldn't swallow for a time. So after that, she began to organize videotapes of figure skating competitions, and she studied the movements of the players and the comments of the judges, and gradually became a figure skating expert. Well, I can only hope that she has enjoyed and participated in many of the videos of the skating lesson. They said after the abortion, pregnancy became very difficult, and they failed after 2 test tube babies. It was not until 2006 that Zhang Aijun waited for her child. She was 38 years old. Later, Zhang Aijun regarded the age of 38 as the most important year of her life. You see, a fortune teller told her that the most important age of a woman's life is 39 years old. Now, it's unclear a little bit what that means exactly, but if it was just a fortune teller telling her that 39 would bring her great luck and she got pregnant at 38, who knows? Now, at first, Zhang Aijun thought that the child would be a boy. She told herself that it was much easier for a boy to practice figure skating. Compared with girls, boys' physical fitness were increased during puberty, and they will be more able to control the physical changes. But when she gave birth on Christmas Eve in 2006, Zhang Aijun was greeted by a chubby little girl with thick hair. At first, she named Nini, and I'm going to mess this up. It seems like she named her An Xiangyi, and hoped that the daughter would like skating. Now, later, a fortune teller told her that ice is not good, it is too cold. And Zhang Aijun actually changed the daughter's name to have one of the characters that many of the Japanese skaters have in her name. It actually means fragrant. And Yuka Sato and Shizuka Arakawa both have this character in their name. So that is why the mother changed Nini's name to An Xiangyi. And that is just so that she will share in the great name of Yuka Sato and Shizuka Arakawa. And they both have beautiful skating skills. So I think that, Zhang Aijun may be onto something here. The plot for her daughter's life is beginning before she was born. Again, I am getting the Dmitry Mochian vibes here in this article. I think that Tata and Zhang Aijun would really see eye to eye about many of this. He had Bella Karolyi, she has Eteri Tutberidze. The parallels are just everywhere. If Zhang Aijun has a legless sister that is even potentially more talented, God is really watching over us, okay? Now, during pregnancy, Zhang Aijun clung to her big belly, and she would actually edit competition music. And so again, she's thinking about music. She's thinking about the physical preparation that this daughter is going to need to survive the training of Eteri Tutberidze before Eteri was even a thing. I mean, this mother is organized and she has her priorities. There is nothing that is left to chance. She is not just listening to classical music so that her daughter will get into Harvard. Her dreams are much, much bigger. Okay? They said that Zhang Aijun, as a novice mother, was afraid of losing her daughter. You know, she was afraid that she would injure the daughter. Perhaps the daughter wouldn't survive. So she waited until Nini was 2.5. But she was worried it was going to become too late for physical preparation to begin in ice skating. But it wasn't too late. And she knew that it was time to take Nini to the rink. She started to... at several different ice rinks in Beijing to learn figure skating. And every afternoon, the shopping mall was full of people. So they would have to take Nini to another rink. And sometimes the rink was old, the Zamboni was broken, but, they did what they had to in order to make Nini a champion. And they said, even if there was no ice training, Zhang Aijun takes Nini to rub the ice. Now, I do not know what that means at all. Now, I would like to imagine her perhaps rubbing ice cubes, but I don't think that that's what this means. But whatever rubbing ice means, and I hope someone will explain this in the comments. This is a bad translation. It was not one of the most important parts of the article. I do have to tell you that I saw, it was sent to me by one of my co-hosts, that there is an adult figure skater who has frozen perhaps a square foot of ice in her refrigerator, and during quarantine actually put her skates on. And I don't know if she was standing on the ice. I don't know if it was kind of like in a cookie tray. I can't say what she was doing on the ice precisely. I don't know if she was perhaps spinning on one foot. But this is another figure skater who has her priorities in order. And I would just like to imagine that Zhang Aijun would do the same thing for Nini. Nini is smaller. She could do more things on a cookie sheet of ice than an adult figure skater. And fabulous. This is a mother, okay? And Nini says that her mother is already a famous woman. Naturally, Zhang Aijun is sitting in her dance class and is shouting instructions even as the daughter is practicing with a teacher. They say that this child does not go to school because she practices on the ice every day and that she will grow on the ice. People think that, Zhang Aijun is obviously crazy, but she thinks that this is what will make Nini a champion because this is what it takes. Zhang Aijun has always insisted on the intensity of military training. Therefore, when people call the mother a tiger mother, she thinks it is just a compliment, and that, really the name instructor is much more worthy of herself. They have some line here. Basically, Zhang Aijun considers herself to be the commander as in war. If you want to practice their skills, you have to go to the palace first. The mother has to go to the palace before she can push the child up. I do not know exactly what that means, but it sounds profound. They say that this winter, Zhang Aijun always wears a bag of black leggings, black down pants, thick enough to help her withstand the low temperatures of the ice rink. And the mother wears it like she's wearing a combat uniform. Now, I like that this article is so much about the mother. It doesn't scream narcissism at all to me. But yes, very interesting. She talks about how she is able to withstand the temperatures. And on that day, Zhang Aijun increased Nini's from 3 sessions to 5 sessions when she sensed that her daughter was reluctant to train hard on the ice. And she says that you have to practice if you don't want to practice, Zhang Aijun shouted to Nini. Although it is known that children are not machines, they will show resistance to repetitive training. But Zhang Aijun's approach is that if her daughter is dissatisfied with the training arrangements, she will strengthen and increase the training. It is just how an instructor trains the brains of recruits in the military. and Zhang Aijun is familiar with this truth. Nini mumbled, she slid around the ice rink, and Zhang Aijun shouted, "Don't talk nonsense. You always want to be lazy. Turn!" And she is forcing the child to train when she doesn't want to. Now, there is some truth to this. To be a champion, you do have to practice when you don't want to. I will say, even when I tell a coach, "Oh, I'm tired," they'll be like, "Oh, that is great. We will practice your body to make sure that you can do it under tired conditions." And that is true. But there are, scales, and this is perhaps rather extreme. Earlier, when Nini was a child, about 5 or 6 years old, Zhang Aijun was already familiar with this. She says that she has very good control. Nini cannot cry. She says that if you train in the mall for 5 hours, then you can reward her at night. She can eat, buy things, but she will, be referred. She thinks that she'll be referred to as the American culture if she spoils her child too much. The management of Nini turned Zhang Aijun into the devil, and she thinks that everyone is interrogating her, and she does look up to other famous tiger mothers. She talks about how her daughter really needs to sense the music through her fingertips, how she needs to have a sense of ballet in her figure skating. So this is a mother who has studied the sport quite a lot. But they do say that the ultimate training finally came about the time that Nini was between 5 and 6, and that she started to enter figure skating competitions. And at the age of 11, Nini began to make her debut in the senior field. And in 2014, Nini participated in the Beijing championship, and Zhang Aijun saw comments that were left on the videos. And it appears that Nini wasn't perhaps the best at spins, so that Zhang Aijun looked all over the internet for these comments, and she searched for them, and she sought them out, and then she started to become angrier and angrier. And after she saw the comments, she would make Nini practice for up to 12 hours a day. "Practice until forever," Zhang Aijun said. "At that time, I was crazy. The more they said, the more I died. The more I practiced Nini, because I am not convinced. We cannot afford to lose. We cannot afford to lose. We cannot lose face. We must win." So the idea of winning began to dominate for Zhang Aijun, from the age of 3rd grade. Zhang Aijun was in a military family, and she also had a mother who worked, and she didn't see her mother very often because her mother would leave for work before Zhang Aijun was awake, and she would often return to the home after Zhang Aijun was already asleep. Also, Zhang Aijun has several siblings, and one of Zhang Aijun's siblings felt that Zhang Aijun was favored by the father. So Zhang Aijun says that her sister would often forget to cook her portion of a meal for dinner. Just interesting that perhaps there are some wounds and scars there. But Zhang Aijun says all of it just made her stronger. And in Christmas Eve in 2019, Zhang Aijun went to visit her mother in a nursing home. And she says that, it was snowy, it was gloomy outside, but she understands why her mother doesn't want to be in a nursing home. She wants to be at home by herself. And she clearly identifies with the strength and resilience of her mother. And there's definitely a lot of talk. The father is definitely revered here. And she says that, people are always fathers. So kind of take that what you will. Now, Zhang Aijun's husband does seem to be much softer with Nini than Zhang Aijun, but they actually only communicate over text message because Zhang Aijun doesn't want Nini to be distracted and to think that marriage is for her. She wants her to be a strong, independent woman and to really not get distracted by boys. So she thinks that if her husband and her, exist in a state of quarreling and only commute over text messages, that will set a good example for her daughter. She also says that being uncomfortable is important for Nini if she wants to achieve great results. She says, seeing me crying, seeing me angry, being scolded by outsiders, Nini is very uncomfortable. She wants to go to the death to give me honor. And this should be the child's mindset for their parents. Now, also, Nini has to take rhythmic gymnastics practices. She is doing everything she has to in order to succeed. And the mother berates her throughout the practice. For Nini's training, Nini matched what they call the suicide training methods. Athletes' stable performance depends on muscle memory, and there is no shortcut to the formation of muscle memory. While they talk about how every day Zhang Aijun sets a limit for Nini and a goal for a number of elements that she is going to do to try to exceed it, and they try to increase it every day. It often requires trips to the doctors to deal with small injuries. And she says it's just like pulling seedlings. It's a kind of scientific approach because athletes just want to get results. Now, this took a turn when Nini was learning how to do a triple-triple combination. It's unclear if it was triple flip, triple toe, or triple lutz, triple toe. But the mother says that from afternoon to evening, she had Nini jump more than 300 triple-triple combinations, and that Nini, when she did it, had to stop because of a leg pain. And after, it sounds like she had a stress fracture in her fibula, which actually kept her off the ice for several months and greatly frustrated and angered the mother. Now, usually terms like this are, when you see that someone is doing 300 triple triples, that would be somewhat of an exaggeration. But given what we're learning in this article, I think that might be accurate. They said that the injury occurred on the right leg, and the right leg is to the figure skater like a pair of feet to the flying bird, because all jumps are caused by the right leg pushing off the ice. Of course, for clockwise skaters, it's their left leg. This article in China does not account for that. It says that the right leg is the power leg. Now, Zhang Aijun, they have a phrase that's called little love. And she says that, little love is what you give to an infant, and that she tries not to give it to Nini. The father often tries to tell the mother to pay attention and prevent injuries, but Zhang Aijun does not often pay attention or listen to the father, whose name is An Xiangyi. And at certain points, An Xiangyi was in Thailand to work, and Zhang Aijun was just raising Nini. And Nini they talk about her being having a smile that is very polite, but perhaps not genuine or through the eyes, and that she seems much older than 13 years old. And the mother says that Nini is basically a 30-year-old. Now, she says, Zhang Aijun believes that the quarrel between herself and An Xiangyi will make Nini immune to men. She will slowly feel that men are not interesting and marriage is not strong, and that this is growth. How can the world be so simple? It's cruel. I'm pessimistic. To love him deeply. Then he has to die as soon as he leaves you. You'll be wondering if there is a crack in Zhang Aijun's heart. Have you ever regretted or swayed? And she's asked this many times. And she has said, I am said to be a stepmother, but the truth is different. And it's much closer to the truth that in her heart, that a person's self-achievement often includes a price that they have to pay. So Zhang Aijun believes that this is all just necessary to take Nini to the top. And there's a lot about God in this article, and you have to fall in practice, you have to get up, you have to withstand this kind of brutal training. And they spend a tremendous amount of money and time devoting all of massage treatments, high quality food, fresh juices, Mediterranean olive oil, coconut oil, and so on, everything that Nini will need to get to the top. And the other mothers at the rink have actually reported Zhang Aijun for child abuse in China. And again, the mother seems to think of that as much with a badge of honor. And they said that, and she definitely does not seem to be embarrassed by that. The mother is trying to instill in Nini that they only want first place. No one remembers a silver medalist. If you have to take it, you have to take it to overcome, to push to the next level, but they do not want a silver medal. And that reminds me of when Valeria Liukin told Nastya in an NBC fluff piece that there is only one color medal in this family. And if you've seen Nastya's Instagram lately, perhaps her father was somewhat damaging. They definitely talk about just really brutal training. It seems like there's a lot of artistic gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics being done in order to make Nini a well-rounded athlete. And if you've seen her skating, she certainly does have a lot of talent. Is definitely still much a developing junior, but there is a ton of ability there. They definitely talk about Nini, that at one point, Nini is actually seen talking to another child by the author of this article. And everyone in the rink is kind of surprised because Nini is not allowed to really talk to other children, because Zhang Aijun believes that loneliness is really important in a childhood in order to make someone a leader, to make someone successful. It also sounds like a wound that takes someone to the top. And maybe it's correct, but it's definitely sounds harsh. And they definitely have big plans for this daughter. So I definitely think that when the Junior Grand Prix, when figure skating competition returns, Nini is someone that we are really going to have to pay attention to. And I left out one part about the child abuse thing. The mother was saying that it was nothing, and she was just mad that someone would report her, but she didn't seem ashamed by her methods, and that's what I was trying to say. And she definitely thinks that you should not become too close in a marriage, and that this is what is really important. Now, she was asked if Nini herself likes the sport of figure skating, and she said it has nothing to do with whether she likes it. Whether it's her choice or her parents' choice, she will like it once she succeeds in it. Nothing is fun unless you have become good in it. Well, I think that Zhang Aijun is a mother that we are going to need to pay attention to in the future. She is clearly a true gem in the sport of figure skating, and someone who fits in like a hand to a glove. So with all of that, I hope you have a great Sunday. Remember, like this video, appreciate the great tiger mother, hold an edge and look sexy. Bye now.